You're listening to episode 106 of the Small and Supercharged podcast with Ria Freeman. Today I'm going to talk about hashtags and tagging, so tags if you will, because this is a subject that I quite enjoy talking about. It's one I get asked a lot about, and it's one I think I can hopefully help you to understand a little bit better, because both can really help to improve your reach on social media, and most of the time we all want that for our content. If we didn't, we wouldn't put it out. So I'm going to really focus in on hashtags and tagging other accounts when you post on social. So as you're listening to this, I would love you to screenshot and share to stories and let me know if you hashtag or if you don't hashtag. And don't think that if you don't, that's a problem, or if you do, that's a problem, because just before I pressed record, I actually just did a quick bit of extra research and just had a read up on a few different things. And the difference in people's opinions on hashtagging is quite spectacular. The range of views and the theory behind them. So today I'm largely going to share my view because it's the one I know the best. But so if you don't agree with everything I'm saying, that's actually fine. So a lot of it is obviously based in fact and how things work, but a lot of it is also opinion and my experience for how these things work. So I don't want you to think that, this is like a discussion with me explaining the theory behind the hashtags that I suggest people do based on the learning that I've done, and I would love to hear your thoughts too. So please do screenshot, share stories, tag me. We'll get to that, but tag me too, and that would be really, really great. So the first thing is I'm just going to talk about what a hashtag is. So sorry if I'm going to teach you how to suck eggs here. I do not mean that in the slightest. A hashtag is the little hash symbol and a word, and that forms a hashtag. And a hashtag is a way of categorizing and organizing specific content on the internet. So if you put up a picture of a camel, let's go random today, camel, and you wanted other people who also really liked camels to read your content, you would use hashtag camel, which may attract people to that content if they are searching for camels. Otherwise, what would happen is your content would largely be shared to your existing audience and not go beyond that. And if camels were a new thing for you, you wouldn't necessarily connect with people who had those shared interests. I don't know why I went camels. I feel that was a really random thing even for me. So they're a great way of organising, indexing, categorising content online when we decide to use the hashtags. Now, hashtags, in my mind at least, were first really popular on Twitter because Twitter is a really flipping busy place, as you know, and it's a great way of finding the content you really want to find because it moves so fast on Twitter that you can lose things really quickly. So one hashtag on Twitter I do look at and I do visit is hashtag journo request. This is a good tip if you are looking to get featured in magazines or you're looking to contribute to the story around various things. Hashtag journo request is a hashtag that often journalists use, sometimes PRs use, online publications like websites use if they're looking for people who have got expertise in a specific area, whether that is a business or not. So I actually found that hashtag, this was probably about 6 months ago now, and I've been looking at the hashtag for quite a while. I found through the hashtag somebody who wanted a quote about inspirational quotes and about how useful they can be, what their favourite one is, and I thought, oh well, in for a penny. So I sent them an email. No, I didn't. I replied and they said to send them an email, which was fine. And I sent them an email and basically I recorded a short audio clip talking about my favourite quote for a radio show because I looked at journo request. Now, if I hadn't been looking at journo request, I don't know why or how I would have found that person's content because they are not in my local area. I don't think we have any shared interests. I don't know the person, so I don't even think I've got friends who know the person, so I wouldn't necessarily picked it up as a retweet. But because I looked at journo request, and journo request is where a lot of content gets categorized and sorted, it was very useful. Another really good example from a few years ago, it was badminton horse trials. Hashtags are a really great way of collating, categorizing, whichever way you want to put it, event content as well. Because even if you're not at the event, if you are following that hashtag, if you're searching that hashtag and you're looking for the content that comes up, you can be part of the action and you can be part of the conversation. So as I'm talking to you now, I'm just opening up my Twitter, and I'm going to see if the search. Here we go. So we're at top now. So it was, I know that Badminton Horse Trials is no longer sponsored by Mitsubishi Motors, but the hashtag was MMBHT. And even if you look at it now, you can see those posts that have been categorized using that hashtag or have been indexed using that hashtag. What you've got when you go into Twitter is you've got top, latest people, photos and videos. So you can even search within the hashtags for very specific content. So I'm just going to go for latest. So I'm hoping it's okay, 4 days ago. So people are still using that hashtag now, even though obviously the hashtag has now changed. But people are using it for throwbacks and things like that. And I remember really fondly actually that hashtag being used during cross country. And if you're horsey and you're listening, usually the cross country phase is shown on the red button on the BBC if you can't be there. And I have really enjoyed watching it on the red button and being part of the conversation on Twitter, particularly because it moves so fast and it is like a chat. Using that hashtag and following that hashtag and seeing what other people are saying, adding, my 2 cents within to that hashtag and having that conversation around that. So that is a really, really great use for a hashtag. Twitter is where I think it started. I'll maybe corrected on there, but definitely for me. The thing with Twitter is you do have quite a small, tight word limit. It used to be much, much tighter. But now we have got a word limit which is 280 characters. But it used to be 140 characters. I'm just going to actually check when that got increased. So to me at least, hashtags were best known and most recognisable on Twitter. And when I first started using Twitter a lot, probably in about 2010, crikey. Actually, I wonder how long I've been on Twitter. I'll have a little look now. But when I first started, the character limit was much tighter. They increased it. Actually, I joined Twitter in February 2009. That is a long old time. So I've been on there 11 years. Wow. So when I joined Twitter, the character count was very small. And actually in 2018, they increased the character count from 140 to 280 characters on a tweet. Now, obviously that means that you can add more text, but it also means if you want to add more hashtags, you can. I would always advise people against spamminess. You don't want your whole post to be hashtags. But obviously when it was just 140 characters, you had to be really, really careful with the amount of hashtags you used, because if you used more than 2, you wouldn't be able to say anything. So obviously I don't think you should be flooding all of your caption, all of your tweet with hashtags. But now there has been an increase there. There is scope to put a few more in. So Twitter is, in my eyes at least, where hashtags really started. Now, where I probably use them the most now is Instagram. I do still use Twitter, I absolutely still use Twitter, but it's not the place I spend most of my time at all. I go on it for a very specific thing, usually, like to look at a hashtag actually and to see if there's anything I can contribute to on that hashtag. Or if Instagram is down, if you look at hashtag Instagram down on Twitter, you'll probably find what's going on, which is so funny. I think or Facebook down, you'll probably find what's going on Twitter. But it's not the platform I use the most now. It's a shame because I did love it, but I just don't I can't keep up with it as well as I used to, but I do enjoy it when I use it. I just don't use it as much as I should. But Instagram is where I do hang out a lot of the time, let's be honest. And hashtags are a really big deal on there. With each Instagram post, you can have 30 hashtags, and you can also use that hashtag you can also use hashtags on Instagram stories, which is another really, really useful function. So I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, I want stories, they're really ugly, but I've got some little handy hints to avoid that problem. But again, like with Twitter, on Instagram, hashtags are a great way of indexing and categorizing that information, which is so useful and allows you to reach people who are not necessarily your followers, or might not even be followers of people that follow you who may have shared your content up on the story. So when you look at a hashtag, you can look at basically two different sections. You can look at let's look at here, let's do equestrians of Instagram. You can look at top and you can look at recent posts. And this is a really good thing to show you because it actually moves on to the next thing of really, really popular hashtags and more niche ones. So equestrians of Instagram, there are 730,000 posts using that hashtag. You can follow a hashtag if you want, and that means that you're kept up to date with people who are using that tag. So obviously you follow people, you can also follow hashtags here too. And then you have got top and you've got recent. Top are popular, and recent are chronological. So the post that came up first was posted 6 seconds ago when I'm looking. So that's an interesting one because obviously being rated top relies on a variety of different factors. Generally, how much engagement you get on a hashtag. So if we look down top now, we've got posts from 3 days ago. I've got the 1st of May, I've got 4 days ago, 5 days ago, 18 hours ago, 3 days ago, 30th of April, 5 hours ago. So they are not chronological, they are rated in a different way. But obviously in the recent section, we have the ability to rank essentially much higher up as time ticks on, which leads quite nicely into what I'm going to talk about shortly in a moment regarding what hashtags to pick and why. But it's brilliant. You can use them. You can use up to 30 hashtags on an Instagram post, on a grid or feed post, and you can use up to 10 on a story. You do not have to use this many. Don't think you have to. And you can, on a story, you can hide them. You can put them in first comment or in the caption on a grid post if you're worried about the aesthetic of it. But again, that's something we can chat about another time. But that's aesthetic largely with the post, with the grid post. And I've read a lot of things about the difference and in terms of your ability to rank depending on where you use them. And it does seem more time related rather than the positioning of them. So if you post in real time, or actually now on some scheduling apps, you can also post the first comment. You can put them wherever you like, but the thing to be is to get those hashtags up soon so you can start to rank for them. That seems to be the crucial bit. Another thing is as well, if you don't want it to look particularly spammy, so I usually separate my caption with my hashtags by 5 little lines, so 5 line breaks that mean that there's a big space between the caption and between when I start putting the hashtags in as well. And actually, I know I don't mind that when I see other people's posts. Sometimes if I see the hashtags right up in the caption, I can find it quite difficult to read. But I don't have a problem with them underneath. I feel that they're doing a function and they don't interfere with my appreciation for the post. The other place we're going to just quickly mention is Facebook. Now, I've done a lot of reading on this, and people do use hashtags on Facebook. Most commonly, they seem to be used when people directly cross-post from Instagram to Facebook. So you'll see a post on Facebook, and the tags won't necessarily work. You'll have line breaks in that you don't need. It'll say something like link in the bio, which is obviously not relevant for Facebook. And then there'll be a load of hashtags. And to me, that's just a massive turn off. People do use hashtags on Facebook, but they don't seem to work in the same way. And I think that maybe, and again, this is from the reading I've done and actually my own use, is that I don't think people as much search for a hashtag on Facebook. So if you go into Facebook search, and I'm just going to do this now whilst we're on the phone, whilst we're here, and I am going to search. Actually, this is good. I'm going to use this. So someone has put hashtag Full Out Friday, which is a kind of way of that a lot of people are doing at the moment, where you are dressing up for Friday. So if I click on Full Out Friday, I am looking at posts of people who have used that specific hashtag, Full Out Friday. But now if I type into the search and remove the hashtag and write Full Out Friday, gosh, this could take a really dark turn, couldn't it? But at least you're here. I've got a completely different set of information up. I have got this one here. I have got one of the ones that I've seen, but then I've got another post here from last month using the words individually. So I don't think that it's the same, because I don't think people use the platforms in the same way. I mean, I'd be really interested actually, if you're looking for something specific on Facebook, if you're looking for pictures of, I'm not saying camels again, because I just think we're going to think I've got a problem. But if you were looking specifically for something on Facebook, would you search more like you would search on Google and just type in the word, expression or phrase, or would you search for the hashtag? I know personally I would search for the word, expression or phrase. And from my reading, I'm definitely not alone on that. So I don't use them. The only way I do use them is if I've got something specific that is like a hashtag. So the hashtag social supercharge challenge, that's the thing I've used whenever I've spoken about it, in the workbook, in everything. It's hashtag social supercharge. And that I use it on Facebook because that's kind of the title for what it is. Another really good example is I'm a hashtag She Means Business accredited trainer, which is a system run through Enterprise Nation and powered by Facebook. But the actual program is called hashtag She Means Business. If you see any literature, that is how it looks. So when I use a hashtag, I tend to use it like that. You can also use them in a kind of fun way on Facebook, and you can use them if you want to. You can absolutely use them to categorize your content. But I think I would say as well, if that is the case, I would probably make sure you're also using the words in the caption, because I don't think people search in the same way, and a lot of things that I've read absolutely back that up. And I know if I see a post which is hashtag heavy on Facebook, I tend to scroll on by, because I just think it's been moved over from Instagram and no attention's been paid to making it native in the platform. So the hashtag theory I'm going to talk about here is definitely one that I think is more for Instagram, because you've got so many hashtags you can use. So when you think about a hashtag, you always want to make sure a hashtag is relevant, because if it isn't relevant, it is just a waste of everybody's time. And actually, there's a lot of talk that you can be penalised for that as well. If you put I don't feel like I'm going to go camel again, because I just feel like that's not, no one needs that again, do they? But if you've got a picture of a camel, yeah, let's do it, and you've put hashtag dog, people who stumble across your picture because they're looking for dogs are not going to be thrilled with a camel picture. So it's a complete waste of a hashtag, because you're not attracting the people who would be interested in that post. Even if that's a high-ranking hashtag, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, you're not attracting the right people. So always be relevant. There's also talk that you can be penalised if you are putting up irrelevant hashtags, because it's not helping people use the platform well. So always make sure a hashtag is relevant. That is your first thing that you must do all the time, because that is correct. You know, you don't want to be putting your stuff in the wrong places, because the people that see it won't appreciate it there, and it won't do you any favours. Now, as we talked about, equestrians of Instagram had quite a lot of uses. It had been used. We're going to do a working example of this, and we're going to go for equestrians of Instagram. So if I go for tags, I've just got my phone up here, equestrians. This is going incredibly well. Equestrians, I'm getting all those notifications. So If I just used equestrians, I'd have 717,000 posts. Equestrians of Instagram, 730,000 posts. And when you type in a word, if you use Instagram itself, you will get a list of suggested hashtags, I'm going to say. It's ones that start the way that you've put it in. And it comes up with this big old list. And you can see there's a massive variation in the number of times a hashtag is used. So just the ones I'm looking for here, equestrian style has been used 1.2 million times. And we're going to go to a really high ranking hashtag in a minute that isn't equestrian. But if we look here, equestrian sculpture has been used 1,000 times. But if you were looking for equestrian sculpture, that would be the hashtag you would use. So even if a hashtag is not massively popular, like this one, if someone uses it, they are going to be much, much more interested in your content because it is absolutely bang on the money. And this doesn't mean if you had a sculpture of a beautiful horse rearing up, let's say, you wouldn't also put equestrian, equestrians of Instagram, equestrians of IG, something like that. But it would mean that you could also think, okay, well, actually, this is a sculpture of a horse, this is a rearing horse, this is a this, that, or the other. And making sure that you are using really, really niche and much broader hashtags as well. Now, when I last looked at this, the most popular hashtag was hashtag love, and that has been used, according to my phone today, 1.8 billion posts contain hashtag love. Now, I'm going to tap on this. Now, this means that to rank in the top, it needs to be a good post. But what it means as well is that to rank in recent, and what I'm going to do is, okay, I've just refreshed and there's a picture on the top left of a little video of a man kissing a woman. And I'm going to just refresh it now. And they have moved down. I'm going to tell you how many lines. I might even be able to find them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I mean, I'm still scrolling. I can't find them. Okay, let's do that again. Let's do it in a much. So there's a really lovely picture. Okay, let's go now. So there's a picture of money. Right, I've refreshed. Because this was supposed. So here, it moves incredibly fast. So you are not going to be ranking at the top of recents for long. Which means that although it might be relevant to use a hashtag like this, you are going to struggle to be there for a long time. As I said, it doesn't mean you shouldn't use it, but it means that you don't want to put all your eggs in that hashtag basket because the chance of you being found through that hashtag are quite slim. So it's fine using popular hashtags, but mix some lower, less popular hashtags, some really niche ones in there. If you've got 30 to play with here. And think about what's in your image. Think about the kind of people that would like to see your image and the kind of people that you want to attract to your image, and make sure these are all relevant too. But you need to mix it up a bit. So think about the relevancy, but if it's a picture of a heart, you might put love as a hashtag. To be honest, I think you're going to struggle to rank for it, but you've got 30. So if you're not struggling, fair enough. But, you think about everything else around it. It's got to be relevant 100%. But if you are never ever going to rank for that anyway, or it's going to be really, really difficult to rank for it, it might be better using another hashtag, or at least making sure that you've kind of shored yourself up by using a mixture when you are using your hashtags. You can also use hashtags in your stories, and you can use up to 10. You can put them on using one of the stickers. You can use a little hashtag sticker and that'll take one hashtag. Or you can just type them out and then when you press enter, it should have a line underneath it and that kind of means it's active. You can have up to 10. Now you might be thinking, oh, but they're so ugly. And oh, I don't know how they're going to work. And the way to get over the ugliness is you can actually colour match the hashtags to your background. Which means they still function, they still work, but visually they're not there. Or you can hide them behind a GIF, or you can shrink them down. They should all work, as long as you don't get them too small, they should all work in those ways. So that then means that people can, if they can't see it, they're not going to tap on it. But when people search for that hashtag and they go and look at that hashtag on Instagram, there's a little, depending on how popular the hashtag is, there's a little circle at the top left, and it has got colour around it, which is great. And a hashtag symbol. And what that means is that when you tap that, Instagram has selected a range of stories who have used that hashtag. And that is what's going on. And you may be featured in there. You may not, but you might be. So one good example of this is Social Supercharge, which is the challenge that I've run twice this month. And we have got a little circle at the top with a hashtag in it. And these are people who have used that hashtag and that Instagram has selected to show us. We've also got top and we've got recent and we've also got related hashtags, which is a really good place to do your research actually. If you are struggling for relevant hashtags, go and have a little look there. You don't have to use them all, absolutely. Here I've got Social Supercharge, and obviously someone's twigged that they're mostly horsey, the algorithm. And we've got Eventer, Cops of Instagram, Eventing Life, British Dressage, all sorts there. So that's quite a positive way to help your grow your hashtags too, and your different options. But yeah, so I'm going to tap on this and hope the sound's not on. So here it's now running through some of the posts, some of the story posts that have used that hashtag. And whether they've used them, obviously, and these lot have, they've used them as a sticker because that's the whole point of the challenge, as in it's an obvious thing, it's not kind of hidden hashtag. But they could have used one sticker and then 9 posts in a hidden thing. You can mix it up as well. So that is how you can use hashtags in stories, and it works in the same way. It can help to get you in front of more people. So if someone is looking at that hashtag, they may want to look at the stories, and that might introduce them to your account. So often when you use hashtags in stories, if you've got sort of a run of videos and there's a sharp increase halfway through and you've used a hashtag on that story, that's often where those views have come from. So it can be a really good way to get yourself out there and to get in more people's eye line and engage with other people too. So high, low, mix them up, make some really, really niche, make some less niche, and give you the best chance of attracting your target market and people who will be interested in seeing that. So that's kind of like a foundation in hashtags. So to give myself a small shout out here, a couple of months ago in the extra group, in my Small and Supercharged extra membership group, we actually had a focus on hashtags that went into a lot of detail about them and how to make them work and how to do your research and how it all works. And you may find that useful. I'll put a link in the notes, but obviously if you pop over to my website and go to work with me, it's in there too. And it also talks about how to find the right ones and how they work, and there's all sorts there. But anyway, that's by the by. Just a little for you there. Now the next thing I'm going to talk about, I hope you're still with me, is about brand tagging. So this won't be as long as hashtags. I love a hashtag. I could talk about it all day, quite literally. So this is something that I get asked about quite a lot, about how to tag brands correctly. And it's a good question, and one that with my hat on when I work for brands, it's so valuable to brands if you tag them correctly. And by correctly, I mean in an image where their product, brand, service, whatever features, or if they're running a campaign and you're involved in that too, or a competition and that's part of it. Being tagged in completely irrelevant random posts is not helpful. It really doesn't do you any favours, because the person who's running the account kind of looks and goes, I don't know what's going on here. And it's just a bit more annoying than anything else. So absolutely, if you are wearing a product, if you're talking about a product, if you're talking about a service, if you're opening a parcel, if something in your story or post is connected to that brand, please tag them. It means a huge amount to them. It means that they can see you. It means that they can support you. It means that they can thank you. It means that they can share it potentially. It gives them a lot more options. And if you're looking to work with brands, it's a really, really positive step in building a relationship and making connection with people. So use tags. And by a tag, I mean when you're writing a caption, you put at and then the brand, or you tag the image. And I would say if the image features the product, tag the image, because it is much, much easier for a brand to find that tag. If you tag in the caption, it comes up as a notification. And if you're tagging a big account, it's very, very difficult to be found. But if when you look at your home screen, if you look at your screen, you've got your feed, you've got your Instagram, IGTV, and then you've got another tab there. That is where your tags will be. So if you are a brand, you can look in that and find everybody who's used your tag and tagged you there, which is brilliant, which means that you can scroll through and you can see who's been tagging you, and it gives you the great opportunity to engage with their content and speak to them. So if you want a brand to notice you, that is where you want to tag them. By all means, mention in the caption as well, but make sure you tag the image. So it might be that you want to give them a shout out because you love their product, service, response, something funny they put on Instagram the other day. Anything like that is a great opportunity to tag them. It might be that through doing that you want to start a conversation with them. Maybe you do adore everything they do and you would like them to know that. Maybe you want to start a conversation with them about perhaps working together in the future. Tag properly, it will honestly help. Don't worry about, I had someone probably a few months ago say, I just worry that I'm annoying when I tag. And I said, but is everything you're tagging relevant? And they said, oh yeah, I love the brand, I use their products. And I just said, please tag. The only thing in my experience that annoys a brand is when you are tagged in an image where it is nothing to do with you. The caption is nothing to do with you. And you just think, I don't know what's happening here. That is the only time I know of a brand being vexed about a tag. If it's ever someone using a product or a service or speaking about, speaking about the brand in a positive way, everyone's thrilled. If you have been given a product, and this kind of goes into the gifted, sponsored partner realm, then you need to tag the brand, but you also need to declare that connection. There is a lot of information around advertising as a social media influencer or someone who's been given products, and I'm hoping to do a podcast in the future about this. I really want to do one with the ASA, but I have been in communication with it for quite a long time now, and I'm hoping we can get something sorted one way or another. But I want to make sure, obviously, I'm delivering you the absolutely correct information. I mean, I'm very confident. I have actually done a course and got a certificate from a course they've done, but it's really important to me that you know everything. But what I would say, and this is something I'm confident on, is that the rules exist for clarity's sake. So if you have been given a product and you are talking about that product and you are showcasing that product, just tell your audience in the caption that it is gifted. The difference between gifted and ad comes generally when a brand has got control over what the person is saying, and that can take many different forms. But if there is a control element, then it becomes an advert. So when it comes to brand tagging, tag the brand by all means. But if that product has been gifted or you've been paid to promote it, you need to say that in the caption. You need to be clear that that was not purchased with your money. So that's just putting that there for you. But as I said, I'm happy to send you links to anything that you need, but just be clear with your audience. They will appreciate it, and it is the right, correct thing to do. There's no point in not doing it correctly. It doesn't win you any favours and could actually get you in trouble, so please do it correctly. But I am working on something all about this for you. So that is a little bit about brand tagging for you. Image versus caption we have talked about, and also when to tag to, when anything is relevant, which kind of brings us beautifully back round to when to use hashtags, also when relevant. Relevancy is really important with tagging. A final little hack for you is if you do some hashtag research, you can gather this information and save it in something like an Excel spreadsheet. But what I tend to do is I actually have different hashtag bundles in Later, which is the system I use for my Instagram scheduling. But I could also put them in little clumps in my notes section. This doesn't mean I use exactly the same hashtags on each post. It means that it gives me a really good foundation, and then I can delete and tweak as I go, but at least I've got the foundations there. If I've got a horse set of hashtags and I've got questions of Instagram, that's going to be relevant for what I'm doing. But also it might be that I've just washed the cob and she's shiny, so I might put something connected to that, which I wouldn't put in every single post, but I can just really customize it up as I go. So that's a really, really good place to have your hashtags that you can then just copy and paste across and just edit quickly because you've already got that platform there. There's also a lot of talk about how many hashtags to use, and to be honest, be relevant. Just be relevant. I've seen people use 30 hashtags really well. I've seen people use one tag badly. And if you do reading about it, again, there's a lot of conflicting advice out there. I would just do what works for you. But if you use those line breaks or put it in the first comment, it doesn't look spammy, which is a win. So I am going to leave you for today. I really hope that has helped with hashtags and tagging. I wanted to do tagging and then hashtags happened, and that's what we've done. But I really hope it's helpful for you, because using hashtags and tagging correctly can be so valuable. As I mentioned slightly earlier in the chat, if you want more information on this, if you want to up your social media game, if you want to promote yourself better online, whether you are a personal brand or whether you are a business, do come on over and find out a little bit more about the Small and Supercharged Extra group, which is I've got 2 membership groups, and this is I'm going to say entry level, but that's not, doesn't give it at all as much credit as it deserves. Where we have a real focus each month on a specific thing, which is delivered via cheat sheet. We have obviously covered hashtags before, and this month it's all about video. And there's a challenge connected, there's a monthly live, and I'm about to reveal another little extra I'm popping in there as well. So I hope you've enjoyed that. As I said at the top of the show, I think, please do screenshot, share to stories and tag me. Let me know what you think about hashtags. Do you use them? Do you enjoy them? Do you search with them? Do you follow them? I love a hashtag. Let me know, and do let me know how you're using your hashtag, how you are tagging brands that you love. Are you a bit nervous about it in case they wonder what you're doing? Have you always been a bit shy about it in case they thought you were irrelevant? Or do you just go for it and hope for the best? I'd love to know it all. Thank you so much for joining me today, and we will catch up next week with another really cool interview. Take care.